I read the words over and over again, trying to get some meaning from the message. You have everything you will ever need. It is now time to fight back. I examine everything. The jar, the mahogany box, the purple cushioning, and the paper wrapping. I study the parchment and the handwriting on the note intensively, looking for any hint or clue of its origins. Eventually, my deep thoughts and concentration let sleep creep up on me, and I begin to dream. It was a memory from when I was 9 or 10. I was crying from hearing wet squishing sounds again. Mr. Wink emerged, weak and staggering as if in pain. It made its way to my bed and hovered its shaky hand over me, the mouth on its palm already exposed and ready to feed. I didn't understand. It had just fed off of me a couple of weeks ago. Why was it back so soon? I hadn't fully recovered from the last milking. It began to eat. It went deep, deeper than it had ever gone before. The tendrils dug into my soul and milked every last drop of nourishment I held. It did not stop. I had a sensation of twisting and pulling within me. It hurt, and I felt the touch of death. In my mind, I heard something rip like fabric. The deep tearing sensation resonated throughout my entire being. But not the body in my dream. The infliction of this incorporeal wound was upon my physical sleeping body in the here and now. I think it tore my soul. In my dream, Mr. Wink dropped my limp body to the ground and stumbled out of sight, apparently still injured from some mysterious encounter with an unknown assailant. Darkness fell, and consciousness quickly began to slip away. I lay there unable to move. I wondered, how could anyone hurt Mr. Wink in any way? He was invincible, wasn't he? That is where my memory of that night ends. But I stayed in the moment and lingered within the dream. I laid there, no longer as a child, but fully grown as I am today. I felt my life hemorrhaging from deep within me. Tears began to spill over and run down the side of my face. I wept for the life I never had. I mourned for all the pain others endured because of me. I grieved because I accepted I had been devoured completely. There was nothing left of me. There was nothing left to save. I waited for the end. I waited in the darkness. A tiny spot of light appeared and grew into a piercing blue-white sphere that cut through the darkness. It filled the entire room with a vibrant radiance. Still unable to move, I watched as a figure emerged from the light. Standing over me was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Her loveliness was not from soft and colorful things. She was beautiful in a way that only a warrior could be beautiful. Her elegance glowed with kindness and fairness. She had a grace of one who was righteous and loyal. She carried a presence capable of extreme violence and unimaginable brutality, ruthless and without tolerance or remorse towards any evil that would rise against her. She kneeled beside me and cradled my head in her arms. She looked into my eyes and smiled. It had been so long since anyone had looked at me with such affection. She caressed my cheeks and told me not to worry. Everything would be all right. She said my soul was precious and pure. She promised that soon there would be no more pain. I felt something step onto my chest and begin to purr pleasantly. I lowered my eyes and saw my kitty from so long ago, now fully grown, looking back at me with large almond-shaped blue eyes. The woman told me its spirit was raptured from the grasp of the beast and spared the pain inflicted on its bodily shell. She said never had the cat truly left me. He had always been at my side in ways I would never be able to perceive or understand. The noble cat served as the keeper of my light, preventing the beast from fully extinguishing my flame. She placed her hand underneath my head for support, then asked if I was ready. I answered her with my eyes. She laid her other delicate hand on my forehead, and she went deep. She went deeper than Mr. Wink ever could. Still, she went even deeper and deeper until she reached a point where I was bleeding a vital life force. She touched the wound momentarily, then gently withdrew, halting the hemorrhaging. I sat up, feeling the strength return to my body. I immediately grabbed my kitty and enveloped him in my arms. He rubbed his face against mine, purring even louder. The woman then placed both her hands on my face, gently kissed my forehead, stood, then turned to leave. Reluctantly, my kitty withdrew from me and followed her. Before entering the light, she turned once more. She looked me up and down from head to toe. This time, a much different type of smile spread across her lips. Her eyes narrowed and held my gaze with a commanding intensity. With the beauty that could only come from a warrior, she spoke with the depth of a goddess. Your enemies will tremble. I woke with a start. I was in complete darkness except for the moonlight spilling through the cheap old curtains. The sun must have set hours ago. I was still breathing heavily from the dream. It felt wonderful to be loved and held dear by someone. I had a warm feeling travel throughout my body, tingling up and down my spine. I smiled and spoke aloud to the mysterious woman. Thank you. As the words left my mouth, I saw my breath form into wispy puffs of vapor and rise into the air as it does on cold winter days. The hot summer night was replaced with the chilly air that poured onto me like cold ice water. In the mirror hung across from me, I saw the reflection of two red eyes peeking over the top of the chair from behind. Its chest was rising and falling from pants of pure rage. It pounced with a force fueled with malicious savagery. The murky cloak of mist quickly took hold of me, and it began to cut